And the winner, from Michigan, Charles Woodson.
The Heisman Trophy, the most prestigious single award that a player can win in the game of college football. And since I've been alive, the Heisman Trophy award has usually gone to running backs and quarterbacks. You also got that one outlier year with Devontae Smith where he won the Heisman as a wide receiver. And since the game of college football and the game of football in general has become more love for the offense, it's been harder for a defensive player to win the Heisman. As the only defensive player to win the Heisman is Charles Woodson, and that was back in 1997. But I believe Caleb Downs could be the next defensive player to win the Heisman Award pretty soon. But before we get into that, I want to say like, share, and subscribe, and hit that post notification bell so you don't miss the next upload. And Caleb Downs been a star since kind of day one. As a recruit, he was the number 8 recruit in the nation by 247 Sports, number 1 safety in the nation, and the number 1 recruit from Georgia. And in high school, he played both sides of the ball also, as he dominated both sides of the ball. But Caleb Downs would commit to Alabama over schools like Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, Michigan, and other schools, even North Carolina, in which his brother Josh Downs went to. And Downs from day one made an impact at Alabama, as he was a starter for the full season and made 107 tackles, 70 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, not only that, 4 pass deflections, and a fumble return. And Downs would even do work on special teams, as he had 4 returns for 87 yards and 1 touchdown, and that's just punt returns. The kick returns, he didn't return any kick returns this season. And even though he a true freshman, he made some impact plays in some big games, as against Georgia in the SEC championship game, he had 4 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. And against Michigan in the Rose Bowl, he had 6 tackles, including 1 pass deflection, and he had that interception that was called back. But that's not even saying enough, as Nick Saban, the GOAT of college football, would say this about Caleb Downs during this season. He's got leadership qualities that are hard to come by, and the guy's really got a lot of talent physically to be able to develop into something special. And that's what Saban told Saturday Down South about Caleb Downs. But after the season, Downs went into the transfer portal, and that had every college football fan around the world watching and wondering where he was going to go. And he decided on Ohio State was the right place to go, as they had one of the better defenses in the country last year. And I know what y'all are thinking. You're probably thinking like, oh, yeah, Charles Woodson won the Heisman, but you gotta think he returned punts, he played great defense, and not only that, he had some plays on offense. Woodson in the return game during his Heisman season had 283 yards and 1 touchdown. Then on offense, Woodson had 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. And on defense, I struggled to find how many pass deflections he had, but I did find out he had 7 interceptions and 47 tackles during his Heisman season. And the thing with Caleb Downs is, well, Ohio State probably won't need him to play receiver or any offensive weapon on offense, just because you gotta think Ohio State has superior athletes on the outside and in the running back room. But there is a way Downs can win the Heisman without taking the snap on offense. So let's look at guys that strictly play defense, as you had in the recent memory, Manti Te'o, Aiden Hutchinson, Chase Young, Tyrann Mathieu, Ndamukong Suh, and Jadeveon Clowney were some of the top 10 Heisman finalists. But I really want to look at Chase Young, Aiden Hutchinson, and Tyrann Mathieu's Heisman finalist season. And this is just to get a feel of what Downs will have to do to win the Heisman, or even be top 3 in Heisman finalists. And Tyrann Mathieu, his Heisman finalist season, had 76 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss. And not only that, he had 1.5 sacks, 2 INTs, and he had 6 forced fumbles. Also feel the need to mention that he had 9 pass deflections, and as a punt returner, he had 2 touchdowns and 431 yards. Hutchinson in his season will have 62 total tackles, 16.5 tackles for loss, 14 sacks, and he will have 1 fumble recovery and 2 forced fumbles. Now Chase Young had 46 total tackles, 21 tackles for loss, and 16 sacks. Not only that, he had 3 pass deflections and 7 forced fumbles that season. But the most important thing is the team record, as Tyrann Mathieu's team made it to the BCS championship game. Aiden Hutchinson and Chase Young teams both made it to the college football playoffs, and they all won 13 games in the regular season. Winning has been an important part of the Heisman race, as long as I've been alive, every quarterback and running back or wide receiver that has won it has been on a winning team that has won probably at least like 9 games. Also, you need to look at the talent that they're going up against in the Heisman race. In Tyrann Mathieu's Heisman race, he had RG3, Andrew Luck, and Trent Richardson to compete against. And in Chase Young's race, he finished behind Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields. Then you got Aiden Hutchinson, who finished behind Bryce Young and finished in front of Kenny Pickett. We can even look at Manti Te'o, who finished behind Johnny Manziel and finished in front of Colin Klein. Charles Woodson even finished in front of Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf, who were the top draft picks in their draft. So Caleb Downs, who plays safety, will need around 70 plus tackles. Then he will need like 7.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. Not only that, he would need to have 9 to 11 pass deflections. And on top of that, he will probably need around 3 forced fumbles and 5 interceptions in the season. And as a returner, he'll probably need around 450 return yards and probably around like 2 to 3 touchdowns. And some of the most underrated things is that he will need his team, Ohio State Buckeyes, to win like 13 games, get to the college football playoffs. And he will need a Heisman moment, as almost every Heisman in recent memory that I can think of had a Heisman moment. And if it's one player that I think can win the Heisman as a defensive player since Charles Woodson, it would be Caleb Downs. He's a complete package. Now, this will be hard because as a defensive player, it is always harder to get the ball than an offensive player. Now, it will be a tall task, but I believe Caleb Downs can do it, as he will be regarded as one of the best players in college football for the next 2 seasons. But let me know what players y'all think on defense can win the Heisman Trophy besides Caleb Downs. And until next time, I am out. Peace.